Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and of course I've got pictures as usual. And let's look at those. And it's the 24th of January, 2011. And look at that. That's the university campus. That's a picture from probably 2004. And it shows the flooding that goes on. And that's the water that comes through my neighborhood. And I'm always showing flooding pictures from the Town Branch neighborhood downstream from the southern half of the campus. And so there was a plan made in the year 2005, or started before that, but they were going to present this plan to the university and see if they could figure out a way to dig out much of parking lot 56 and make it a storm garden type thing. But that work never got done. They were going to have a swamp, a marsh out there, a wetland area that would slow down the rain. Here you see some grass, tall native grass. Now those leaves are not on the grass. That's something behind it. But anyway, it shows, see the little flowering devices there? Now this is a basket flower. And now these pictures are mostly from 2008, July 2008, and that basket flower was about to burst open. That's a native species of grass. It's really tiny, very delicate looking grass. It's in the panicum family, I believe. And there's the wild cherries. And that's something the birds really appreciate. If you have wild cherry trees in your yard, and those grow on World Peace Wetland Prairie like most of the things you've been seeing here. I believe this butterfly is not a swallowtail. It looks like one, but it's actually well, I won't go into that. But anyway, here's some kids in the street, and notice the parents' car is parked across the street, and they're blocking half the street with the car and half the street with the kids. And one of those dangerous situations. You see the mother's pulling one of the kids off. He'd been standing on the rail up there looking down at the creek and walking on the rail. She's got, I don't know if those are all hers, but they're a little out of control, and they're playing in the street and really shouldn't be. There's the same kid that was up on the rail. He's back over the rail again, and this all happened in just about a minute and a half. These photos are part of a series I made. They were having fun. You can see the trash street in the creek up on the bushes. When the water gets up, it brings that trash from the fast food restaurants and parking lots up there on 6th Street and part of the campus and Martin Luther King. There's a basket flower that's closer to being full bloom. That little white bud you saw a while ago was from a few days earlier in July 2008, and you can see this one up close. And of course, I don't believe I had a mature one in this batch, but when they're fully mature, those beautiful pink petals or whatever sticking straight up there will fall down around the basket, and you can see why that's called a basket flower by the way it appears. Well, it's almost as good as some of the bird's nest you see. This is the Elia Richardson Memorial Butterfly Garden on World Peace Wetland Prairie entryway in July 2008, and you can see a diverse group of not everything native, but mostly native. That's a button bush. Those grow with their roots in the water always, even if they're just up on the bank or shallow wetland that's not always wet. But there's a day-flying moth, a type of, they're called, there's the same one or a different one has moved around. Maybe it's the same one. But anyway, those are called, there I go, missing a name, but anyway, skipper moth. And they're the kind that fly in the daytime, and you see them out with the butterflies and the bees and things, pollinating and having a good time. Okay, there's another native flowering plant, and I looked that one up and got its name ready and didn't bring my list. Anyhow, I can't tell what insect we've got on it. There it is. You can tell that time it's a large butterfly of the great spangled fritillary variety. There's a wonderful wetland plant that is an annual. Don't ever mow these down before they go to seed. That's the Verbena hastata. Okay, there you see a non-native plant, but it had some cute grasshoppers on it. So we're going to wind this up now. And until next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See you.
Fayetteville Public Access Television is a public service provided by the City of Fayetteville to help residents exercise their First Amendment rights. The views and opinions expressed on this channel are not necessarily those of the staff or management of Fayetteville Public Access Television or the City of Fayetteville.
I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and it's the 24th of January 2011, and I have another batch of photos to share with you. And, well, there's my daughter. She hadn't been on cable access television in Fayetteville in years, and that was from several years ago. That is from this year during our recent snow, one of our snow periods here. And, of course, that is a blue jay with a berry in its mouth. Okay, that's a scene from the Partners Land. Partners for Better Housing bought 7 acres in South Fayetteville, and it is spectacular wildlife habitat, and I hope that in the planning of the houses, the rules are getting a little stricter now than they used to be, and they're going to try to do an environmentally friendly job. And this is a riparian zone where no vegetation should be removed and where it should be encouraged even after the housing's built there. You can see it's a small creek, but it's a powerful creek. It spreads out 50 to 70 feet wide when we have a big rain. The water comes from around Jefferson School and to the north, and it actually becomes a ditch right there when it leaves. That's at 7th Street, and that's the upstream end of that 100 yards from the Partners Land, and it's sort of ditched out there. And that's where a street would go. I think it would be the extension of Willow Avenue if it were put through. I hope it's never put through because there's other ways to get access down there. That's Lonicera sempervirens, the native honeysuckle, the way it looked in December this year. And I believe that was a snow day with snow behind it. That's the trumpet honeysuckle. Now that's out on the northwest side of Fayetteville where, okay, that's Mike Blodno, noted bird watcher, author, co-author of some books and publications with Joe Neal, and he's out there counting the birds of various species, and he doesn't write it all down instantly, but he'll be telling you there's so many of this species and that species, and he keeps a log of these things, and he likes to go to the same places every year. That's an interesting piece of a tributary there of Clabber Creek where the big tall roots there are sticking out. Those are from logs lying right and left from there. Willows were growing across the little streamlet there, and they were blown down, washed down, and so forth. Now that's where a beaver crosses an embankment of Clabber Creek and gets into the creek back and forth and goes over there and cuts his logs and works on his dam and so forth. There are mallards and gadwalls. I think most of them you'll see close to us there are gadwalls. Those ducks were on Clabber Creek that day when we were walked about 2.5 miles, probably before we went home. Mike may have done 5 miles. But that was a construction site that's got red dirt spread on wetland. That's part of a core permitting process there that you're looking at that allows them to dredge and fill wetland. Most of us have the dream the Corps keeps it from happening. That dark bird you saw there is a type of sparrow, and there are 2 types of sparrow in there, and that is a chipping sparrow, the one you see inside that tall grass. That's a type of blue stem. It's very most common in northwest Arkansas, still growing wild, and that type isn't given as much respect as big blue stem and little blue stem, but it's valuable. Okay, you can see how the birds like it in the winter. They're still trying to find seed and berries, and there's a cardinal that's probably looking for berries on the ground or any kind of seed. That's the Peace Circle area of World Peace Wetland Prairie. You're looking across it toward the southeast, and the snow was 3 or 4 inches deep out there the week before we are recording this on the 24th, and I thought it was really beautiful. You can see the World Peace Wetland Prairie sign, and there you could read it if you were looking at it on one of my websites and blow it up a little bit. Roadrunner, Roadrunner, Roadrunner. Well, that guy is hanging out around, I won't tell you exactly, but he's in South Fayetteville, and he's getting all the free grain he can scarf up, and people are even feeding him. Seems to be alone this time of year, and maybe he'll bring his mate there, or she will bring